Madam Clerk, honorable council members, members of the community, councilmen, come on. Let's get it moving over here. I know that today we have scheduled two study sessions. One is to discuss the budget as a whole. I know Councilman Saab had some particular amount of numbers that he wanted to crunch up and see if we can also save some money. And then the second was going to be the food trucks. I know that we had our first, and then I know Roger said he was going to speak a little bit about that. Also, congratulations. I know we haven't really, introduced or broke ground with Shannon Shepard, who is our new comptroller. Round of applause. Welcome to the city of Dearborn Heights. I know I've spoken with Michelle. She told me that she's having some family over that she had planned, so she couldn't be here. Brian is on Zoom. I would have preferred to have Plant Moran here. It's only fair that to us, the city council members and the taxpayers, that you guys are here. I know that this was something that you guys weren't informed about, but I believe, speaking to George, we had informed them before, when we sent it out, correct? Yes. So, I mean, they've had, enough time. And then if you remember at our last budget hearing meeting, or the budget meeting, I said July 16th. And then I also spoke with Michelle after that, but no blaming here. So I have chosen to postpone the budget meeting and a study session on that until Plant Moran Gap is actually here with us. This is a company that we pay a lot of money to, and it's, this is where they need to be. They need to, the same way we need to make time, they made time several times before signing the contract at Riverside Middle School. They should have made time to show up today, as they said that they would show up before us. I see that we have Brian here, that you showed up on Zoom, but I felt like it'd be more productive, Brian, had we had you or somebody from your team actually live here with us. So I am not going to be doing anything on the study session today. We are going to strictly be talking about the food truck ordinance, and then I will postpone another time, get with Michelle or maybe Brian, and figure out a time that when they can be here present and in person. I'll get with Shannon as well, because this is something that we all need to discuss and go through, and it needs to be here in person. I appreciate Brian being here on Zoom, but again, I really want somebody here in person. So Roger, if you want to go through the beginning of that, Roger, if you want to step up, or if you want to stay sitting up there, whichever you prefer. To basically go through what you have in this food truck ordinance, and then what changes some of the council members, and we can have a discussion on that, and then today's meeting would be done.
Certainly, Council Chair. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I believe previous Council Chair Dave Abdullah, when I started, asked me to put something together for food truck ordinances. So in compliance with what he requested, we drafted the first draft of this. I circulated to every department and got their feedback December 2022, January, February 2023. So every department, ordinance, buildings, put their input into it. We had a full meeting. Everyone went through it. We then presented it in June to the Planning Commission. They had some changes to it that they wanted to see. We went back and I met with Kerry again, McKinnon from the Buildings Department. We went through it, did some more revisions. We brought it back in February 2024. We brought it back before the commission in May of 2024 again, and then we presented it in June. They had public comment. The law firm O'Reilly Rensselaer that sits on the Planning Commission as the lawyers had reviewed it as well. I think I incorporated all the changes, the questions that we have, that people will have. For instance, the amount, is that sufficient that you think, or do we want more? I made sure we had the $1 million to $2 million liability coverage for us. Currently, right now, when I've looked at the applications, they scribble 100,000, but I said that they have to have proof, because as I came from private practice. I've represented businesses that have been sued for if they take a shawarma away from a business and go home or leave it out for a few hours, and then they get sick and lawsuits have been incurred by people doing that. And as a city, we want to make sure we're properly covered for such incidents. I've made sure we've had the inspection in the ordinance from the Wake County Health Department, and that you can't change, if you're approved for that truck, you can't switch it to another truck. It stays with that truck. All your employees, you want to make sure no one has any probation, parole violations, any criminal sexual conduct, any problems with children, or anything of that nature. Everyone that's working on that truck is cleared to protect the city. On pages 4, we've talked about, for instance, where to locate it, flashing lights. We've talked about in page 10, co-locations, different parties that show up. On page 11, we've talked about the type of food trucks, how many numbers to have. I've asked Ali Dib to look at it because I specifically put in there the zones where they can be located. And obviously, you've looked at it as well on page 7. CX, C1, C2, C3, or the GO district. We've put that it's not to be 15 feet from any brick and mortar establishment. And there's conditions. If it blocks the view of another brick and mortar establishment, it can't operate there. So we've taken the time to go through it, and I opened it up.
Is there a
to you.
limit of how many food trucks we can have in the city?
I put 3 to 15 at one time, no, but at a location. For instance, a food truck rally, how many trucks we've been there. I've not done that because I leave it up to the council. If you want to put that in there, it can be included, but I think what we should do is just look back at how many food trucks currently exist. I did a numbers, and when I presented to the planning commission, I think we had, talked about there was about 11 that came about.
We only have 7 that are still active right now.
Yeah, after
But I mean,
June
with the 2 juice stores,
Right.
7, 8, so now we're at 9.
But as I mentioned in private practice, I had a client where one of those things exploded and burnt her face. So it has to be inspected by the fire department, each truck. That's the C2, the cartridge that fuels the stove. Everyone has to be a standalone. If there's any kind of wires, something like that, that has to be covered and protected and approved by the fire department. Exhaust is not towards the customers. The exhaust is towards the back of the truck, away from the customers. We put in 6 to 11 p.m. If that's okay with you, if you wanted to change it, you can, as the time of operations. I put 3 consecutive days, so if they do.
Hold on, you put 6 to 11?
6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Oh, okay, 6 a.m.
To
Okay,
11
I was gonna
p.m.
say, the place on Telegraph and Hass is open at like 11, which is great food, by the way. You guys should really try it. It's one of the best Mexican foods I've ever had. The ladies from Venezuela.
Oh.
And actually, food sounds so good right now, I'm actually starving.
Well, I'm from Venezuela, so we can have some. Go get it. The co-locations, how many trucks can be at one site
Oh, we
at
have
one
it on record,
time?
he's from Venezuela.
Yeah, I'm born in South America, Diana. My mom's from Venezuela, so. And great-great-great-grandmother was an African slave, and the city's named after her. I think the ZB, Zoning Board of Appeals, zoning board's requirements on this section 36-532F1 for temporary use review for the zoning board is in here on page 11. And I think we have, I think we tried to answer all the questions from the planning, but I know there's more questions, so.
Arjun, do we have anything about like, when you go to a restaurant, and I believe the ordinance department does a great job at this, where they go in and they make sure that they're properly disposing their,
Yes.
their oils, and you have to show it, and you have to show the company, and you have to show proof of the receipts, and it have to be, registered with the city. So like, you can't just get a regular receipt from somebody random. So like, this company is registered with the city. So let's just say, like, we throw it away at ABC Oil Dump. ABC Oil Dump has to be registered with the city of Dearborn Heights, so we know it's a real store or oil disposal, rather than somebody saying, oh yeah, I dropped it off to ZWX Oil Company.
Right.
And ZWX can be anybody. Anybody can open up an LLC, it can be a fake one, and they just said, yeah, I paid this guy. Oh, I don't know what he did with it. He didn't give me a receipt. So we want to make sure that these companies that we can verify, and so that, just so that we're protecting our sewers, and we're, because there's been some allegations or footage saying that things like this have happened. And I want to make sure that we're protecting our infrastructure, we're protecting our sewers, and putting our best foot forward for these type of things, to prevent these type of hazardous, I would say malicious, not even hazardous, but malicious type of acts.
Well, it would be negligent and careless, and we will follow the code of all the brick and mortar, and they have to dispose of the oil and grease, like I
Grease
said.
traps, that's what it was.
Yes, grease traps, and all our food. In fact, I represent a company that didn't do it properly. It was like a Friendlies or whatever, but I'll mention the name of it specifically like that. But it does cause odors, and odors are covered in this ordinance, flashing lights, things like that. Odors would include if you dump it into the drain and it causes a backup or a smell. And there's environmental rules, obviously, we have to follow by the state to dispose of such waste products.
Council Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman.
I got a few things I want to see added to this ordinance. Number one, for example, I'm sorry. I got a few things I'd like to see in this ordinance to be added. One is about generator noises. Some of these generators are pretty loud. Two, for rallies. Rallies, if somebody's holding a rally should have their own special licensing and permits that whoever is on the property should obtain from the city first. Also, no more than one food truck a location.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Can I answer those?
Well, I want to ask the councilman a question.
Sure.
So what do you do when you say like rallies, right? Me and you attended the rave day at Riverside, and 5-6 places were at the,
Right.
oh, hang on. And actually, a resident here today called me and said, hey, is this allowed? And technically,
That's
it was not allowed.
100%. What I'm saying is, though, you can have rallies. I'm not saying no, but you just can't have a pop-up rally every day without.
No,
getting
but I'm saying,
permits.
like, how does the school go about, like, the school never really comes and says, in order for me to do this, I have to pull a permit through the city.
It's not
It's
just like a garage sale permit. It costs like $13, just so we know, just in
I know.
case something happens at that event, the city is aware that.
Are we saying, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, Rave Day was an organization done by these young girls at Riverside. They were 7th and 8th graders. It was a dodgeball game versus, elected officials versus the 6th and 7th graders, which we lost. Actually, I did it. Councilman Saab lost. I was the commentator. And they're raising this money to give, to help for, so that when they become freshmen and sophomores and so the class of 2023 or 2024, when we as the city, we're not open for business. So when we as the city comes in here and says, well, these 7 today, they're having a bunch of food trucks and they must pull this, $15 permit. Well, to us, $15 may be nothing, right? But to these students who are raising $5, $6, $7, $10, $12, $13, it's a lot to them.
I understand, but
So we have to figure out the balance here.
Council Chair, every city I checked with has such a
On schools?
on anywhere. That doesn't
I've
matter.
never heard of that.
So we're not gonna say schools or not schools, that's across the board.
You can exclude the government.
If I may answer his questions first from the
Well,
ordinance
I'm not done.
itself.
Let them finish first.
I don't want to forget them, that's all.
Write them down for me, please, Roger,
all right.
thank you.
Yeah, I would like to see that no more than one food truck. I don't know why I'm echoing. No more than food truck.
It's okay,
At a co-location.
go ahead.
I don't want to see more than one food truck a location anywhere in the city.
So what if the place is like huge, massive?
Doesn't matter.
What if it's like the new place that the food truck place just opened up? That's not gonna be a food truck anymore.
If it's designated as a food truck park, it's different, but just a
But
random
what
business.
determines it's a food truck park?
Can I read the language and then Councilman Saab, if you can just see if this matches what you're saying? On page 10 of the ordinance, on section P for co-location, it says, where a mobile food truck vendor has been approved on a lot as a principal use, consideration shall be given to locating one additional mobile food vendor on the same lot. It says consideration, doesn't mean it's automatic. It means that lot, that vendor has that lot for that one truck. If they have to get a second on that vendor, they have to get approval from us. The second thing I have is on page before it, on the noise. And in fact, we have it broken down by decibel level. But it says no music, speakers, intercoms, bells, or on section I, shall be permitted that negatively impact adjacent properties. Outdoor generators that provide power shall be identified. Such generators may be prohibited if it is anticipated that such an operation will create a nuisance to neighbors due to noise, exhaust, or vibration. And we have the measured in the ordinance, the measured decibel levels that follow the city zoning ordinance, that it would not be above a certain level. On page 10, food truck rally, where a food truck rally will be occurring for a period of time not more than 3 consecutive days. In addition to all other city and state approvals, a special event permit shall be required subject to section 36-254, paren E and paren. A food truck operating in a food truck event shall be required to obtain a business license under section 16-204. So we've put the requirements in that they can't just throw a food truck rally without our approval, the building's approval, and the clerk's approval pursuant to the ordinance. On the section, pages 9, it handles outdoor cooking, but if you have any other questions.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. So we're approving this for food trucks. What about when these individuals want to open up like a food tent?
I didn't put food tents in there, or if it's like more than 15, if it's less than 15 minutes, they stay like ice cream trucks or things of that nature. But I specifically put in there that we'd have to look at food tents because that becomes more permanent, a site.
Well,
and
no,
that
I
has
mean
to
like
be-
a food tent. Well, like I'm just trying to think of like,
Hot chocolate and donuts.
you know, like, no,
Yeah, like with a football, when they had a football game, they set up tents.
correct. Or let's just say during Ramadan, when you have somebody that opens up a tent for those 20, 30 days, like, what are you doing there? Because really, that's when you're seeing a lot of these things happen. It's happening in the spring, summer, Ramadan, and then you're not seeing it anymore. Well, they need to be charged, 100%.
Yeah, I think, and then we have waste containers and everything when we have a tent. There's other issues that come up. When I looked at other cities, I looked at Hamtramck, I looked at Ann Arbor, I did 3 other cities in addition to those 2 to look at what they do with food tents. I think we'd have to get a special, they'd have to come forward to us to get a special permission to use it for that period of time.
Well, that's what I'm
If it's an
saying.
area that's, but I haven't covered that specifically, but
Well, what I'd like to see added on there is the identical for, that we're doing for a food truck, would have to be identical for a tent, but the tent is only limited to 30 days. So you can limit the tent for only 30 days.
That's only during Ramadan.
No, that's if somebody wants to open up any type of tent.
No.
well, tent, food
You can't
carts,
base it off of
carts
a
also that you
religious holiday,
push.
Councilman.
Then we're gonna have pop-up tents everywhere in the
Well,
city.
no, it's good for 30 days out of the year. You can't say that things are only partial or only practical during Ramadan and no other time.
Then I'm against tents.
Well, I can research it and I can bring it back to you.
I mean,
about
that's fine.
tents.
You can be against tents. There's 7 other council members can make the
That's fine,
decision today.
exactly. And then I had a few more things for you.
All right, go ahead.
As for these property owners that they're signing leases with these food trucks, when the city's not benefiting in any way, they're benefiting. They're getting thousands of dollars a month off of these food trucks. What's the city getting out of them? A $250?
Councilman, you know, government is not open for
I
business.
understand that.
I think
But
you're
no,
confusing the two.
No, I'm not confusing.
You are.
No, because
We are in business to help business owners. So if the business owner's thriving, the community thrives.
we're technically not helping business owners, we're screwing business
No,
owners
you're
with
not.
this. Yes, we
You're-
are.
The lens that you're trying to look it through, the negative lens that you're looking at through,
It's not negative.
it's very negative.
It's not at all.
It is, though.
Council
Brick and
Chair?
mortars,
Yes.
He raises a good point. If a family has $100 to spend on food, going out, entertainment, if they spend X amount on a food truck, that's less they're gonna spend on a brick and mortar. That's only common sense. They are taking business away from a brick and mortar. It's a fact. I mean, it's not maybe or not.
But that's not his argument. His argument is saying that if now this, let's just say the Ford Road and Beach Daily is benefiting because they're collecting revenue off of this business one, right? They're saying, if you want to be here, we're going to charge you $3,000 a month. Councilman Saab is saying, well, the business owner is getting the $3,000. What's the city getting out of this? Only the $250. Well, let me explain this to you. The BP gas station on Ford Road and Gully is another location, right? if they make $1 million or if they make $100,000, it shouldn't mean because this business owner is making $1 million, we should take some of his profit, or we should charge him more because they're bringing in more revenue. Capitalism doesn't operate that way.
Well, I brought up the point several times
your
that
argument
the
is
square
saying-
footage of sales area. So if a building, if you had a store, and say this, one of those food trucks is probably like 10 by 20, 200 square feet or something like that, 300 square feet. If you had a store and you had an addition of 300 square feet, your taxes would go up.
So let's just say now this person goes there. You're right. I agree with you on that. I'm the business owner. You're the new food truck guy. You parked there for 5 months. My taxes went up. He left. I'm no longer collecting that. When do you determine when you take down the taxes back? When do
The
you
truck's
now?
not on the property.
When do you now assess it back to go? Do you say, well, you know what? You still have to assess it for the entire year. Then you have to come back and reassess it. So now you're hurting the business owner.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not coming up with a program to tax them extra. I'm just saying we're losing out on tax money,
Well, maybe,
you know,
Council.
potential tax money.
So you-
I don't know the answer to how to do it. That's
So
that's my
let
job.
me give you an example. Do you think, right now, we just passed a moratorium, and mind you, I'm playing devil's advocate. To be honest with you, I can care less right now if a food truck gets passed or not. Like, at this point, like, it's not that serious that we're constantly going back on food trucks between me and the councilman over what should be approved and what shouldn't be approved. If you guys don't want it, we can put this on the agenda, we make a vote. I'll put even one on the agenda to say, let's completely eliminate food trucks, and we can completely eliminate it. But let me tell you something. You're saying it's gonna affect all these other new companies, right? You think right now these brick and mortars have space in the city of Dearborn Heights to open up more businesses in the city? There is no room. You can't build any more freestanding buildings. Half of these plazas are already preoccupied or filled. So what's happening with a lot of these business owners, and mind you, there are 7 across 180 square miles in the city of Dearborn Heights. Like, that's how many we have today. We have 11 approved, 7 are open. Actually 9 because the 2 that we just passed last week. I really don't foresee this being 100 food trucks across the city. I don't foresee this being 25 food trucks across the city. And I just want you to know, in the city of Dearborn just opened up the canteen. It is a food truck park of 25 new food trucks in this, I think it's like a 10,000 square foot at Fairlane Mall. They took over this whole thing. You're really, I mean, this thing might even be obsolete. We might not even be using this because now you have a food truck park that's fully done, fully renovated. I think it spent over $1 million, I think $1.5 million on this food truck park. And all the food truck places have just signed up to go there. So it's, to them, it's like, it's free. You pay the vendor $2,000 a month, and everybody goes to one central location. I'm not saying, completely eliminate food trucks. What I'm saying is, I don't feel like, we're so angry about if this comes here and they're making money, or I don't want to see 2 or 3 at this place. The 2 that's happening right now at that video store, the video store guy who we want to pay taxes, the video guy that wants to pay the taxes is actually wants to shut down, and then the city makes no taxes. So we're not looking at it from both sides. We're looking at it from one side. Well, go ahead, Councilman.
No, I mean, boy, that was a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
You're just saying there's no room to build. If we don't let these people put food trucks on property, they'd like to build a brick and mortar. Got plenty of room on Van Born. Let's develop that area. Let's say, okay, sorry, no more food trucks in Dearborn Heights, but we have some property you can build your own. If you're interested in being an entrepreneur and a businessman, got plenty of room there.
So why
That might
don't
be an
we take
incentive.
this- Why don't we take this ordinance and make it a food truck park on the side? You can only open on the south end.
Not in my area. This is me, I'm being honest. I'm not a fan of the food trucks.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, that's my prerogative. And I'd rather see a business open up in a brick and mortar. And, but I mean, maybe they're the best thing in the world for Dearborn Heights. I don't know, but I haven't been convinced of that. I haven't talked into that yet.
Council Chair.
I'm gonna go with Councilman Ahmad and then Roger.
I mean, Councilman, just with the numbers that we have right now, like he said, we have 7 or 9, it's not a big deal. I think it is an attraction to the city. People, they come from different cities to try those food trucks. They're bringing people to the city. I do understand that, yeah, I'm with you. We need to charge something, but I was thinking, I don't know if Roger can help, but are we able to charge maybe a personal property tax for the property owner? Since they have something extra, this is like almost like a personal property that sits on that lot. Can we charge a personal property tax?
For the equipment, I don't know how
No,
much.
it's yearly. they add it to the taxes. If it's not there anymore, they take it off. Like they assess it, I think every year or every few years.
I'll check
I think I
with
need to check
the
with Kim on.
assessor's office.
Yeah, I need to check with Kim on that.
That's a good idea.
I mean, definitely I'm with ongoing inspections if we're gonna have it permanent, like maybe at least every 6 months or so. And I'm with, probably having a limit, definitely, how many we have in the city. But should we eliminate it, 100%? I would say no. I mean, I would still think it's I don't go visit food trucks every day, but or not even every month, but I still think it's an attraction to the city. It's something I've been seeing people coming from different cities just to, see those food trucks, try them, visit our city, bring more people in. So definitely, I don't think we should ban them from the city, though.
Councilman,
Well,
Constant.
and I agree with everyone. I mean, there's a public policy issue. If you have a city with 30 food trucks, they compete with the brick and mortar businesses, but I don't think we're talking about that. So I think the way you address that is to have a limit of food trucks and maybe, during certain seasons. I know during the winter, you're not gonna have many food trucks out. I always think of that lobster food truck that shows up all over where they sell like lobster tails and, it's something a little different. So I agree with Councilman Ahmad. But I think we should have some ordinance in place and then we should have some limit and, let's see how it goes. From there, let's see how many food trucks we get.
Council Chair.
Councilwoman?
Roger can go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. Do we know whether they have a B&O tax, business and, what is that? Occupation type thing? Washington State has that. Would that be comparable to what you were suggesting?
Personal property tax is different. It's any business, if you have a business in the city, whatever personal property they have inside that business, they pay taxes on. The bigger the business, the more the equipments, the more taxes they pay. I would, even though it's like, I don't think the food truck is owned by the landlord, but somehow they're leasing, so somehow it should be part of the personal property that he has in that business. I'm not sure. I definitely need to check on it,
Yeah.
but I think it would be a good way. Personal property tax is not that much, but it still is something coming to the city. And
Well, that's what the state of Washington has. It's called B&O.
Okay.
And they're taxed and they're followed up and checked.
I mean, there needs to be some type of
Yeah.
tax levy that increases.
So that has to do with all business.
And
Well,
this
there's
is
sales
varies
tax,
between like
there's-
how big is the truck, what kind of truck it is, the equipment's inside the truck, so every truck would be different.
And in reference to what Tom was saying about them, don't a lot of people start out with a truck to see if their business is going to make it and then they consider a brick and mortar?
That's a biggest example, that's what happened in Dearborn, it's many businesses started but didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
One of them in Dearborn, that now has a brick and mortar in West Dearborn, the Fork, or no, what's it called, the corn place.
Corner on the
Corn
corner.
on the corner.
He actually started in Dearborn Heights.
Yeah.
But he had nowhere, he wanted to build in Dearborn Heights, but he had no option. He went to Dearborn. He actually had to buy out a corner spot to be called Corn on the Corner in Dearborn.
That's all.
But I also say, like, keep in mind, like, places like Dave's Hot Chicken. I was sitting in California, he's now opening up everywhere. So that's it, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, Council Chair, I would just add, we put under the purpose of this ordinance is to provide a framework for managing. But we want to support culinary entrepreneurship. We want to support small business development. We want to support placemaking and increase vibrancy to our city. I only speak from experience in Boston. We had two of our top seafood restaurant, I think no names, it might have been legal seafood, but a lot of them started out as push carts for seafood, and they managed to manufacture, get, obviously, brick and mortar from it.
Council Chair?
Yes.
Roger, I have a question too. There's this truck, it's a flower truck, that it's not stationary. I see it everywhere, like sometimes,
Sells her flowers.
yeah, in different locations. So I think we need to look into that too, because some of them, those trucks, they're not gonna be in one specific location.
We didn't cover like ice cream trucks, like when I worked with Hamtramck and they had 40, 60 trucks.
Uh-huh,
If it stays less than 15 minutes, this ordinance does not apply.
okay.
So for instance, if the flower truck is there, but it moves again, it's not covered by this. That's a separate issue we'd have to address. Because they're not stationary.
Yeah.
Honestly, the more I think about this ordinance, why don't we just find a central location and say, if you want to open up a food truck, go to the spot, go to this one corner, and everybody can just be there. And they can pay the city, $500 a month, $1,000 a month. But you know what, like, as a business owner, I don't want somebody coming in there and saying, well, hey, if this guy's gonna come in here, he's gonna give me $1,000 a month or $500 a month, but then my taxes are gonna go up or I'm gonna be assessed. 9 out of 10 times they're gonna say, kick rocks. So,
Council Chair, I did on page 7, on table of permitted uses by district, we do identify certain districts. I just want to make sure those districts are okay with this council. We have a districts for the mobile food vendor on CX, C1, C2, C3, and the Geo district, and then for food truck rally, as a special land use, CX, C1, C2, C3, and the Geo district again. I just want to make sure it's okay with the council.
like, imagine like one of our parks, the south end and the north end. Parkland Park and maybe like part of like Swapka Park. And we said, like, you can go to one of these two parks, you can set up over there, we can have people market that we're open here, people can bring their families, they go to the park, they come back, they eat, they leave. Really, that's not a bad idea. And then, now, like Councilman Wenzel was saying, you're not affecting any of the business owners or the brick and mortars. If these people are becoming extremely successful, it can branch out some, look, if you got a good product, you got a good product.
Council Chair, I mean, that's kind of a good idea, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having like a food truck in a metro area. Like people come and shop and they might get something to eat. I mean, the food truck idea, I mean, I'm not 100% against it. I kind of like,
We're getting there.
no, I mean, I'm saying it's, if we can work something out to make it just fair, I mean, that's what I'm doing, I'm gonna be fair to brick and mortars. I mean, that's all I wanna be. I mean, there's guys out, there's, business owners out there that have just started a business, put their life savings into this building, spent a year remodeling it or something, and then all of a sudden, and I know how the business world goes. You open up a shoelace making building, something that's doing really good, and some guy goes, I'm gonna open up a shoelace making business right over here next to you, dude, and that's the way it goes, and the food trucks are, they could be a gas station over here, but right across the street or down the block is someone they wanna compete with, because they know that traffic is coming in that area. So let's just make it fair somehow, I mean.
I agree, listen, that's what we're having this discussion for.
Council Chair.
I let Councilman Saab go first, and then Councilman.
Go ahead, Councilor Haas. No, go ahead, it's fine.
I do agree with Councilman Wenzel. I mean, to be honest, to have them all in one place, we're not a city that we have an attraction. So, I mean, to be honest, myself, I'm not a fan of food trucks. Like, I don't like to go sit, I like to eat, I like to go dine in somewhere. But I don't like to go just pick up something. But if I'm working, I'm not gonna go drive all the way to the park to grab a sandwich. I can just go down the street, the gas station next door, that food truck, and grab a sandwich. So I don't know if it's gonna be a smart decision or a smart business decision. I mean, if we have something like, maybe every weekend, probably, but I mean, for them to be successful, I'm not sure how successful it will be, but definitely, I think let's just concentrate on focus and maybe have a limit in the city. Like Councilman Saab, make sure that the lot is big enough not to have more than one. Have an ongoing inspection, and definitely look into that personal property tax.
On page 8, Council Chair, of the ordinance, we do have a site plan has to be provided when they apply. That will tell you locations of any standalone businesses, any problems that will exist, public improvements, fire hydrants, trees, parking meters, a parking plan. That will have to be put into their site plan before buildings can approve anything like that. So we'll know upfront any impact it's having, like you said, on any area that these trucks are gonna be located. Seating placements, trash receptacles, on-site water, where the generators will be, any sanitary facilities, all that has to be in their site plan when they apply for that truck. More than what we do now. So far more than what we do now.
And,
I think
I'm
that's
sorry.
all very good.
Council Chair, just one more point.
I gotta stop you.
Okay.
Councilman Sass patiently waiting.
Okay, go ahead, Councilman Saab. Okay, are you sure? Just, like you mentioned, the food truck at the gas station. I think, maybe, I don't know, like to affect brick and mortar, other businesses, but it's still like it's, that gas station is benefiting for that food truck. People are going there to buy food, they want something to drink, probably they'll pump gas at the same time.
I explained that.
So those businesses are making, it's helping those businesses.
And you know what they say, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed when you go to like Traverse City or if you go to like these different cities, the best way to set up a McDonald's is next to a Burger King or a Taco Bell, something else that's competitive. So it becomes like a central location where now like, this kid might want Taco Bell, this one might want Burger King. So if you're ever noticing when you're driving on the side of the road, you see everything, all the signs pull in here. They did a study on this. The best place to open up, and I only know this because I used to own an ice cream store, I no longer own it. The best place to open up an ice cream store is by another ice cream store. So sometimes what we might think might be harming might be better for somebody. Somebody might say, I'm gonna come eat this brick and mortar, or I'm gonna come eat this food truck. Oh, you know what, this brick and mortar looks nicer, it looks cleaner, I'm gonna come in here. Not to say that food trucks are not clean, or they're not nice, or they're not good. I'm just giving it an example. And keep in mind, that these people that open up these food trucks are not 40, 50,000. These are like 100, 150,000 now. There's no such thing as like a very low, you're not opening up just like a small janky food truck anymore. Like those things don't exist. At least people are not gonna support that. So like, one, I'm sure it has to be up to code. It's gotta be presentable, which I think that needs to say inside the, ordinance as well, that it's gotta be, it can't be an eyesore. It has to be presentable. You get 2 or 3 violations, you can never come back to the city. So I think we need to be like very, very strict on these things as well.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Saab.
Thank you. So also add on here, special event permits where we have food trucks that can go for a birthday party in front of a house.
Yes.
If we have those ice cream trucks or juicers, or we don't have anything like that right now either. And there's nothing in this, I know it says 15 minutes. No food truck is gonna pull up to a birthday party and serve everybody in 15 minutes.
Or a block party, right?
Yeah, like a special event, and there was a young gentleman that's got approved, said that this is what he really wants to do. It's the only thing the city offers is you gotta submit a site plan, be on a private property, and park there, but we only have one kind of license or no permits, no like seasonal permits, like, for summers, to have events. People have graduations. If people have a graduation, they want food or something, they can hire a truck.
Like short-term, not stationary. Yeah,
Special
that's what-
events.
So it's like special event, Roger. So couldn't that ordinance also be broken in, or maybe it doesn't need to be a separate? Let's just say Councilman Saab wants to have a block party on John Daly and he wanted to bring, I don't know, ABC food truck.
Just for the record, can't have it on John Daly, it's a flavor house.
Yeah.
Or if he wants to have it in his backyard, for example. Heights hot dogs will pull right into your backyard.
I can grow.
I'm giving an example.
Yeah, I think you need a food truck that goes to a block party or comes to home. We put on page 9, provision that you need a letter of permission from the property owner, notarized.
Owner, okay.
And of course, we have the 70 decibel, amount of noise that it'll generate, so it doesn't hurt
Correct.
neighbors on either side. That's in the ordinance. Trash receptacles and everything else. So they have to get approval still from the buildings department. If they're gonna locate there, they can, but they have to get permission.
Okay.
So my concern with this is it has nowhere in there or provisions that, how do we know these food trucks that pull up to a block party are licensed or Wayne County health certificates or anything?
Well, that comes into the councilman,
And if
the
somebody's-
enforcement section. And we've put a provision for it. If they show up without a license, and the police are called and they come, then they will get the ticket and cite, and we have provisions for that. Because they can't operate without the permission of the building department, even if it's for a day or whatever.
Council Chair.
I read your finish. Then before that, Councilman Saab, were you done?
Yeah, that's it.
I agree with the councilman on special events. And I don't know if we talked about limiting how many food trucks are gonna be allowed. But I think, it definitely needs to be limited on how many we have in total. And I don't know if we want to do it per zip code or if we want to do it just as a city as a whole. You know, if you want to do it in different zones of, you know, certain areas, like, you know, you don't want it to be in certain areas where it's just too saturated. You know, what if you say you can only have 10 are all on one road? You know, now that becomes an issue.
Yeah, but you guys are in control of it to begin with, so.
Well, I know, but then we'd also want to be put on the, we want everything in the ordinance to be able to state, you know, every zone, like say Warren is one zone, Van Born is another zone, Ford Road is another zone, Ann Arbor Trail in this area is another zone. Outer Drive is another zone.
Personally, I would like to see 6 on the north and 6 on the south. And they
Well,
be-
we
they
have
be
in,
spread out across the, across.
But you know, if you did that right now, you already have 7 in the north. So I mean, you'd be taking one away from somebody, you'd basically saying one of you have to shut down.
Are they all in the north?
At this point, yeah.
We have under section 16-207, locations permitted, which under page 3, mobile food vendors licensed under this CHAP license shall be permitted to operate only in parking lots of privately owned or publicly owned property in accordance with the terms of their mobile food vendor permits within the city of Dearborn Heights. All special event permitting ordinances and requirements in the city continue to apply. We have special event ordinances, and we have requirements for the city that stay in effect, that don't get changed by this ordinance. They will have to comply with those, and those are in full force and effect in addition to this chapter, not contrary to this chapter. Special events is special events. We don't regulate that. That's under our other ordinances that control that.
Honestly, I know I probably sound like I'm going like, I'm flip-flopping, and you guys might get annoyed with me on this, but the more I think about it, the more I say, man, I don't even want food trucks anymore. I swear, the more I think about it, the more I say, like, just get rid of them. You know, it's becoming such a headache to even just get them to come here, and then, honestly, I don't know why I feel that way, but that's how I'm feeling right now.
Council Chair?
Yes, sir, Councilman.
Well, the idea is, though, we want to have some regulations, some requirements. We don't want, like, when the former clerk, Walter Persevich, anybody that would come up and want to apply for a dispensary in Dearborn Heights for marijuana, he'd just have them call me up. And we want to have some rules in place. We can have a limit, and then we can see how it goes.
Right, and Council Chair, since we've already approved 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, already in effect for the trucks here.
6 more months and everybody's banned.
I don't say we're encouraging food trucks. We're just trying to put protections for the city in case people apply.
Well, now that I think about it, let's not have any tents allowed.
Yeah.
All right, because they look very, look, in my mind, sometimes I play the both sides to myself. Right now, I'm thinking like, you go into these really wealthy communities like Birmingham or Royal Oak, you don't just see a tent being sold, selling T-shirts or things like that. Now, I agree, there should be a limit. I think the limit 6 and 6 is not enough. Because then you're gonna then what happens when these people start wanting to sell them to each other? And they start saying, well, I'll sell you my food truck license, give me an extra 50,000.
You can't sell it, it's
You
not
know?
transferable, it comes back to the city decides.
Yeah, you can't sell once you get it, it's
City
just your
decides who
truck.
gets the food.
It can't be sold to anybody else or any other food.
People will be on the waiting list.
Council Chair?
Yes.
Would the special event or party type one comprise something that would be like 6 to 8 hours?
Yeah.
For instance, we're having a reunion in a park on the 31st of August, and we will have food trucks there.
Nice. What kind of reunion?
RHS, Shaw Roosevelt,
Oh, yeah.
the entire school, about 600 people.
Yeah.
So we will be having food trucks, and that would be a 6 to 8 hour time
That's a
frame.
special event permit.
That would be a special event, so that would be something to be considered.
But I think schools are exempt from what?
I'm okay with exempting the schools.
Yeah, schools
If
need
they're
to be
doing,
exempt.
boost programs or T Club or robotics, I'm for that, I'm not disputing that, I'm fine with that.
I don't know, I got mixed feelings today. But that's what these study sessions are for, right? So, Roger, I know we're working hard on this, and I think like Councilman Constance said, there needs to be a lot of regulations. I'd like to see maybe different zones, rather than just saying 6 in the north, 6 in the south. I think you need to break down in different zones, right? What if, right now, we have 0 in the south end, we might have 1. Right, and I think we've opened up 5 in the south end, and all 5 have shut down and never came back for a renewal.
Council Chair?
Yes, sir.
Roger, the liability issue, now, if someone were to have an issue, problem with a food truck, whatever it is, is there some kind of waiver that these food truck owners sign that the city would not be liable whatsoever under any conditions, or how does that work?
We can't delegate it.
Well, we have immunity as a city, as a municipality to an extent. However, we have insurance. But we're requiring them to name us as an insured on their policy. So they can get the million, we put the $1 million to 2 million. But we want the city added, and we have a copy of it provided to us, where we'll be named as a protected, so they can't collect the money.
Well, my point was, I don't want to even be bothered being sued in the first place anyway. I mean, not bring us into the picture at all. If you were completely out of the picture, 100%. Unless it's something that like a city truck plows into it or something, like that or whatever. I mean,
That's what the city.
we could have 100 million, 10 million. I still want to go to court, period, over some food truck that's there, you have an issue and sue the city. I mean, doesn't matter how much liability we have.
Well, realistically,
Coverage.
You may not be able to
Council Chair,
delegate that.
realistically, we can't tell when people sue, who to sue, because they will always name a city as thinking of a deep pocket, so we can't stop it. It could be a regular business. If they slip and fall on private property, that's one thing. But if something's operating and they say the city should have regulated it, or they should have checked on the type of business that was locating there or something, they can still sue us. Doesn't mean they'll win or prevail,
Yeah.
but, you can get sued for anything, so.
Right. Okay, what about the setback? I know you said there was the minimum distance from a structure. What about setback from property lines? Can you put it right on a property line? I mean, there's one up on Telegraph there, and they have theirs right on the property line of the business next door, the parking lot. I mean, it was to the point where if a car pulled up on that parking curb, it couldn't come all the way up to the parking curb without its friend and hitting that. I had pictures of it too, of hitting that food truck.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because we do have the requirement not allowed within 15 feet of a hydrant or an existing restaurant. But we also require them to do the site plan, and the site plan will have all those dimensions and specifications. We also ask them to include pictures of what it's gonna look like and where the location is, so we can see visually. And the buildings department can see exactly what they're looking at and everything around it.
I mean, we should have the same setback as a building, because a building's setback for a particular reason. And you gotta consider a food truck, not a temporary structure, but you gotta consider it a permanent structure in a sense, right? For blocking view and all those things, you gotta consider it to a certain extent, a permanent structure. So you gotta have the same setbacks, 6 feet from property line or something. I mean,
Yeah, we
then
have
there's
that.
the parking issue. How many parking spots does a food truck need? I mean, it depends on how many employees there are and the type of business they are. Just like any other business, you open up a McDonald's, you've got a lot of traffic, you need a lot of parking spots. You open up a law firm, and you got a lawyer and his or her assistant, you only need 1 or 2 parking spots. And it could take up the same amount of space as a McDonald's building. So, I mean, how do we regulate parking on this?
Well, we have a provision for parking, we have a provision for grease on the site, water damage, we have a provision for gray water, food waste, to be anything disposed or dumped into public property, including drains, that's on page 4. At the top under C, we have spills, damage to our street, parks, or storm drains. That's in our ordinance that protects us for anything done to those effects. And like Council Chair Bejun mentioned about the drains and things like that, that's in here. Yeah, we have, dealing with the sanitation, signage, that we don't have big signs that would distract drivers and stuff from the trucks.
What about, that's a good point, Vince. What about it if you, say if you had a food truck in a parking lot of, obviously, I just said the obvious, a gas station, and they don't have their restrooms opened up to the public, which a lot of them don't. I mean, are there any stipulations or regulations in this about having a restroom available to the?
So I'll tell you how this
Yes.
operates. You ready? I'm sorry, Roger, only because I know when Mike Mackey was going through it with this place, if there's a seating area, then you have to have available restrooms. If it's a grab and go, wherever you're going, if you're going home, you have to go, I believe that was their, that was what the health department required. So if you have even just one seat for somebody to be able to sit and eat there, you have to offer them a porta potty or a bathroom.
So
If
those
it's
food trucks that have a tent with picnic tables in them, they have to have.
100%, they have to provide you with a restroom. And so if the business owner says, I understand that you're allowing seating, so therefore now people have to use my restroom, that's between them two. But that business owner that allowed that food truck to be there, that's collecting money from him or her, need to be able to provide for the bathroom, or then they don't qualify.
That shouldn't be between them, those two, it should be the city involved in that too, because we have to know if that's the
This
case.
food truck opens up and says that they're going to have seating, they don't just get approved from the city, or the building department's gonna ask, and it could be a spot where you check a box. But, Wayne County will also enforce it, because then you get annual inspection. Don't forget, these are gonna have quarterly pop-up inspection from the health department.
I know the one place that has seating, was that approved by the building department?
Which place with seating?
Well, the one on, in the video store on Telegraph.
I mean, it was
They're-
approved, I don't know if they have seating.
Oh, yeah, they've got a tent with three picnic tables.
Do they have access to the restroom?
I don't know, I've never been there.
Well, our Council Chair, our ordinance requires them, like you said, to have that. In fact, every food truck should
Was
have
it- I mean, was
hand
it-
washing stations as well.
Is that part of the, was anything like that? Oh, George, you know if anything like that was put in as far as someone requesting or getting permission for a,
I'd rather not answer anything on behalf of the clerk's office.
okay.
Sorry.
so I mean, when that food truck applied for a license, did they also put, okay, we're having a tent there with picnic tables?
Well, they have to provide, like I said, a site plan. From here going forward is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to regulate.
Well, I'm saying, no, yeah, I understand that, but I'm saying, let's see what mistakes we've made or things we can correct. That's what I'm looking at. That's what we're here
Right now,
for.
we have a temporary food truck cart license right now. If that individual is providing seating, then the video store that he's at has to allow them to use the restroom.
But they're not open up the same hours as the food truck.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know that. I've never been to them.
Yeah.
Or just allow,
But the
no,
problem-
because on Hess and Telegraph, they have a beautiful picnic tables, they got flowers, they have, so,
You know what's it called?
but, and the gas station allows you to use the restroom.
Or if they have it, then where they're at, has to be a private restroom.
Yeah.
That's it. No other thing. They don't have to worry about porta potties, you don't have to worry about anything.
What's the name of that restaurant that's by,
Carreras?
Ferrer's? The video store, do you know the name of the video store by chance?
I can get it for you.
Video exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Just trying to see their hours.
Go down more. Right there.
Well, that's a real good point, the hours of operation of the business. I mean, they should coincide with the food truck if,
If not, it's just a grab and go,
Yeah.
grab and go food truck.
Yeah.
No seating.
Yeah, it needs to be grab and go.
Yeah, that'd be grab and go.
no seating, no seating.
Council Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe we should check with Dearborn, because they have a location on Gully and I think Trowbridge that has seating, and there's no potty area unless they try to go to McDonald's.
Where?
It's on Gully and Trowbridge, I think, one of the two streets near McDonald's there, south of Michigan Avenue,
On Gully of Michigan.
across from Home Depot.
Yes,
gas
yes, yes.
station,
It's a-
right?
but it's a
But I
gas
guess,
station.
there's a warehouse there or something.
Yeah, but are they?
It's a warehouse.
Are they allowed to use that restroom?
Most likely, because it's inside that parking lot.
And I don't, and that fenced area,
Yeah.
I believe that is for
There's a,
another business.
there's a business there.
There's a separate business there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
don't see
I
any
have no
restroom
idea,
there.
but that's Dearborn. And I think Dearborn just completely eliminated all the food trucks, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, Dearborn is completely eliminating it unless it's, because, well, Dearborn also got 5 Peace Parks, and all the Peace Parks now will have food trucks inside their Peace Parks.
What kind of park?
They're called,
PEACE.
yep, it's called the Peace Parks. Have you not heard, seen
Peace
them?
Park?
Yeah, they received, $30 million or something.
27 million they got a grant. The city got a $27
But the
million
city had to
grant for
put 10
park.
million, and they used 10 million of ARPA.
Wow.
Yeah. But they're getting,
What do they do? They just have playground equipment, things like that?
Oh, no, brand new parks.
I will show it to you.
What kind of
It's
parks?
amazing.
Just to walk around, so
Just-
something nice.
It's called the Peace Park.
Relax.
Benches, things like that?
Yes.
yeah.
You walk your dog in there, so they have lighting, they got this like,
Kind of like that park in Birmingham, just like a park, you sit down, there's nothing to play but just to walk around and stuff, it's nice.
Let's
We
do
can go-
one.
We can go reflect.
Let's
Maybe we can
apply,
have
let's
our
apply for that
council
grant. Where's our grant writer? Get on that right away.
We don't have one.
Oh, we don't have one?
Council
Councilman?
Chair,
yes, guys.
do we want to have a limit, like 20 food trucks?
No, that's too much.
Yeah, I
meeting. 20
think,
is fine.
yeah, I think, I know, Hasi, you want 12, but
No, I'll do 14, 7 and 7.
it's not, you can't even, I don't think you can, if, you want to try to limit it to 7 and 7, and you have 0 right now on the south end, you have 7, well, you have 9 already in the
I
north
also
end.
don't want 20 on Ford Road.
I understand
Not
that.
even 20
Or
on
more.
Ford Road.
I'm just
There's only
saying, I just don't want 20 in the
Not even
future.
space on Ford Road to go.
Food roads already, Ford Road's already a disaster.
Yeah.
Anymore.
The thing is, most of the food trucks on Ford Road are in Dearborn now.
Yeah,
and
there's
they can't
not-
go.
Yeah, they're on the
And they're
east
leaving.
side.
They're leaving, so.
They're leaving. Corner of the corner is actually turning into the whole gas station. The guy at the Health Pro Pharmacy was going to the park. The guy in West Dearborn was going to the park. The hot dog place on Telegraph is going to the park. So really, there's another one that you're losing.
Here's a question for you. Is this a fad?
Fad, yep. It's just a fad.
Yeah.
Or is this just something maybe you guys want to implement just in the summertime?
Either way, they still have to have an ordinance.
Well, I understand that, but
I mean, look, if somebody wants to open up a food truck in the winter, they're more than welcome to. I'm just kind of feeling like this all needs to just go away. I think we need to have an ordinance that says we're no longer allowing food trucks. I feel like it's just become, either you can't limit and
you
say,
can have them for events.
yeah, you can have special events, but you can no longer have station food trucks. And I think you say we end this come, January of 2025,
January 1st.
January 1st of 2025.
Well, maybe we can, Council Chair, maybe we can ask the community, to get some feedback. What the
You know-
citizens-
We should
I don't deal with food trucks.
I don't know.
But,
If I want to sit down and eat somewhere, I'm out to eat. I'm not looking for a food truck stand.
Look, I prefer food trucks, but when you're seeing a trend of too many food trucks, like, hey, I'm realistic. I'm not saying I'm angry to food trucks, I'm not saying I dislike food trucks, I'm just saying, like, you don't want to get it to become overboard, I agree,
If every food truck was as clean as nice as the one on Telegraph and Haas,
yes,
it's beautiful.
but that's what that's our expectation, though.
Right.
Also, Council Chair, I don't mind if a food truck belongs to a brick and mortar business in the city and they have one. I'm for that because they're invested in the city. Like if a brick and mortar store has one that they bring up and they want to do special events or just have it in their parking lot or after hours or something, I'm for that. I'm not saying no food trucks. I'm just saying we just need to limit food trucks. Doesn't matter if 100 people apply. If we have a limit for 20, for example, and those 20 don't come back, or half of them are not in the city, but those permits are valid, same thing, nobody else can apply.
But we have to be able, let's just say somebody says, let's give an example. I buy a food truck, spent $150,000, I opened up in Dearborn Heights, I opened up on Ann Arbor Trail in Evergreen, okay? I'm now by Henry Ford, somewhat near Henry Ford at that mechanic shop. I'm there for 3 months, this place is terrible, I'm not doing well. Somebody in Livonia or somebody in Detroit says, hey, I got a spot for you. All right, well, my license is still valid in Dearborn Heights, but now I just left. And now I'm thriving in Detroit. And it comes to, my renewal, and I say, you know what? I'm not renewing in Dearborn Heights. That person is no longer a food truck in Dearborn Heights, correct?
Correct.
So now open up that location or open up that licensing. When do you say, though, after the non-renewal that, when do you give them that? What if somebody, like right now, we're seeing the treasurer just sent us a bunch of these businesses that didn't renew? Or maybe they, something happens and they don't renew within the first 30 days.
So here's one thing you could do. Somebody that applies in the city report, for part of the ordinance that you can't hold multiple licenses in multiple city. You're either here for the 6 months, 9 months, year. Let's say if you come here for 3 months, say, okay, I'm gonna go to Detroit for 6 months. No, if you go to Detroit, your permit is no longer valid.
Now you're controlling what people do, and now you're gonna control what a business owner can do. That's not your job.
Because this is made for stationary.
Yeah, these people are
this is-
trying to make money. You're-
But I understand, but these licenses are made for stationary
No.
food trucks.
Council Chair,
You can't control how somebody operates.
I think we can put a limit how many to have in the city. I don't like about the zoning part. I like, maybe we can have a distance ordinance, like, you cannot have like each block one. Maybe they have to have like,
Mile and a half
Yeah,
radius.
something in between.
Half a mile radius.
Something, yeah, so you don't have a lot of
Oh, way more
people,
than
driving in, driving out,
Say
so.
5 miles.
I didn't say 5 miles.
Instead of mile, you said further than that.
No, you said half a mile.
That's a whole city, man. Then you have 2 on Ford Road.
Maybe like every 2 blocks, minimum, you can.
I'd say half a mile. 2 blocks might be too.
Half a mile is too much.
2
Yeah,
blocks, two
dispersal
blocks.
requirement.
Like,
Honestly, I don't want that look.
what's that?
I can talk to Engineer Dibb and see, looking at the traffic safety
Yeah.
issues, make sure we do a organized study of it, and we can
Is,
present
is
something
Mr.
that's
Dibb back?
fair. Number that's fair, that you want, and the distance.
And keep in mind too, we're working on, hopefully the master plan. I know we're still waiting
Right,
for,
exactly, I was gonna say
so
that.
I don't know if they can help us with that too. The master plan, I don't
We're
know.
not gonna see that master plan in our lifetime.
I think we should include it, especially if we want to do like a downtown area and diet some of our streets and create a main street for Dearborn Heights.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that'd be something we could do, and.
Is what?
A main street for Dearborn Heights. Diet our streets like Detroit is doing. We condense like for instance, Warren Avenue area. We have investors that are.
We keep
interested
saying
in
the north end. Why don't we do that in the south end? Why don't we
You can-
condense it in the south end?
Wherever you want to put a main street. That's what was looked at a few years ago by Hassan Jamal and a bunch of people that looked at putting a main street or creating an area where we can relook at it, factor it into our plan,
I'd love a main street in the city of Dearborn Heights.
and yeah.
I think me and Councilman Saab were just in Northville, and we saw,
Unbelievable.
we were like so hurt that we couldn't have such a nice attraction downtown area, like Northville does, or like West Dearborn does.
Well, that's where we were marketing our
Yeah.
our EB5 investments and investors to look at creating a downtown area, like Royal Oak did in its area, in its streets. We can have something like that, and we can even go into bordering Inkster, go into some areas,
You know-
revitalize other cities around us.
Even Hamtramck, believe it or not, Hamtramck has a beautiful, which I just went to for the first time.
It's historic.
It is so beautiful that the way they have that small district, I'm like, whoa, I did not expect this.
It attracts people, and you would have apartment complex, you don't have like quick malls, you have businesses that people can walk around and sit and come together. North and south could come together to that area.
I would like to see a main street down, I know we saw pictures about how the corridor was gonna look like. I think the administration showed them to us like almost 2 years ago. I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't look like that.
We'd like it to look like that, and that's what we're looking.
Like the crosswalks were even look beautiful, but it doesn't. even the
Council Chair,
crosswalks
we have a
doesn't
downtown district in the city that we never utilize or have a
On
commission
Ward?
for.
We have a
Yeah.
streetscape.
Yeah, we were talking initially about that area that Councilman Saab had mentioned.
But just to make it walkable, like.
Walkable,
downtown
yes.
Birmingham, like we talked about it before.
Right.
Is implementing that, let's say on Ford Road, with Mr. Baidoon addressed before, he said that, hey, the buildings are too close to the street, but you eliminate the first street and you shrink Ford Road, that's how you do it. That's how they did in Garden City, and that's how they did in Birmingham, downtown Birmingham, which become walkable, and you have all the stores, and you have seating right on Ford Road, because the last street, the last road is eliminated. So instead of having 6 or 7 things over there, you have only 4. And that's how you slow traffic down, because we don't want 50 miles per hour on Ford Road. We want it 30 miles per hour.
So,
That's how
Mr.
it works.
Lola, just, from Westland all the way down to Canton, Ford Road's gonna be removed, there's gonna be a median in it. It's gonna become the downtown district.
What's wrong with that?
From Vinoy all the way to Canton, to Haggerty.
Imagine having trees right in the middle of Ford Road and you have turnaround. You know?
Why can't we get together with them and reduce the cost of construction?
We got an administration that doesn't care.
Come on, guys, point of order. Let's keep it positive, please.
I would say, Council Chair, we're encouraging, looking at this, and we've talked to investors overseas. For our EB5, you know, Trump used it, you create 10 jobs, just to get work. You need $1 million investment, but there are people who are lining up to do this.
That's good, that's
We
good.
have a
That is it.
destination, so, and we've talked about it, a number of investors in the city. It's a real estate, experience is needed, put apartment complexes in the area where people can sit and come out and utilize the city. Sort of like Livernois in Detroit now and 6 Mile, which is an excellent, businesses lined up, we can do it.
Roger, so maybe you can make some adjustments to this ordinance.
I took your
So
notes.
like the special event use Councilman Saab brought up, maybe every 3 blocks minimum with not to exceed 20 trucks. And then, you know, we
One
can-
truck per,
Personal property tax.
what is it?
One truck per store,
Well, depending, yeah, well, per store is,
or per property.
well, let me ask you a question. Property right now that sits Al Basha and sits City Coffee, that's one plaza, 2 different owners. The building's actually split. How do you determine that? You're saying there's only one can go there, or could there be 2?
One.
2 different owners, 2 different properties, 2 different trucks technically.
I'm just trying to think.
But on the
out-
same parking lot, in the same store, or gas station, or video store, or any other store, 1 truck,
But you're saying within 3 blocks, so there's technically.
1.
Yeah, depending like how big is the place.
Yeah,
too.
you have to also look
Yeah,
at the
it's a
lot
lot
size.
size.
We don't have really big lot sizes. Obviously, the video store is what we're talking about. But yeah, we don't really have big lot sizes in Dearborn Heights, so you're not gonna see a food truck with, you know, what if the food truck park becomes available in Dearborn Heights? You know, now are we saying that that's one business owner, it's only one food truck?
Food truck park is a completely different category.
I understand that, so like, let's just say, what determines it's a food truck park? What if the video store comes back and says, I wanna turn it into a food truck park?
You guys do. When it comes before you guys, you approve it, just like you did last time. And it failed.
I just feel like, and it failed,
It didn't work out for them.
Failed.
So,
you know? So, I mean, again, I just don't personally think food trucks are gonna be the cool thing in Dearborn Heights anymore. I feel like this was 2014, 15, 16, maybe 2019, then it went away. It really went away. I think we need to see a better downtown district. I think we need to see, you know, we need to be more festive during the holidays like Christmas and Halloween and, I mean, Garden City does it, Inkster does it, Dearborn does it. Dearborn Heights doesn't do anything.
I
And a
just wanna
place to
see
have a
seasonal
parade.
flags on our poles down Ford Road, down Warren,
Down,
nothing.
down Annapolis, down Van Born.
Council Chair, you know.
Van Born has them.
I was driving down Michigan Avenue today and going through Inkster, how about Inkster and.
Beautiful.
I mean, the landscape, they have the big pot.
Yeah,
plants
yeah,
hanging
yeah,
there. I'm
yeah.
going,
Councilman Wilson, have you seen our welcome to Dearborn Heights signs, how the weeds are in front of
we
our
had one that
signs?
was knocked down about 5 years ago and never replaced on Telegraph in Dartmouth.
We got some nice weeds, they're about 5 feet tall, so thanks to whoever maintains those.
I was up north a couple of weeks ago, and I drove through the city, I can't remember the name of the city, but they had the high school graduate pictures on all the poles in the downtown area. I mean, probably it's pretty, maybe.
But they're also very, very small.
Yeah, pretty hard for us, but I mean,
You'd have 1,200 flags on them.
It's just valedictorians.
Well,
type
there you go. What the heck? Two-sided, though.
you guys need to get
Six-
together with
600.
your businesses.
Yeah, you
Van
handle
Born,
that.
Warren,
Come on.
Ford Road.
Be
Get them
somebody.
all to start working together to
Be
clean up the
somebody.
road and make it a nicer place for everybody to want to come and visit.
Yeah.
That's what we have ordinance for, but unfortunately, see how the city looks like.
But what happened with DDA?
Guys, nothing, point of order, guys. Nothing from the audience, please.
Ask the administration.
Come on, Councilman.
Wanna
Nothing
open
from
it
the
to
audience. Roger, let's
Yes,
make
sir.
those adjustments. Now we're getting a little off topic. This is about food trucks. I think we're going a little south, but I agree with some of the residents. Like, we do need to get together, I think, with some of the business owners and figuring out how to make this more of an attraction place. I mean, I will tell you this, you know, somebody said to me the other day, they said at one point, you fought to want to open up in Dearborn Heights. Now it's like I'm fighting to open up in your neighboring city of West Dearborn. You know, and that bothered me a lot because Dearborn Heights was actually the best place to open up a business in. It really was. And I still believe it is. I still believe that it is. We as the administration and the council, we are to blame the council just as much as this administration. We have to do better in protecting and being good for our business owners and ensuring that we're being, business friendly and that we're allowing these businesses to thrive, really. In ways of, like the gentleman here stated, slow down Ford Road. Make it, make it easy to turn left onto Ford Road. Make it easy, to come in and out of these businesses. Because it's hard right now. It's hard. You got cars flying up and down. But I'm so afraid. When I leave my house, I take Hass to Beach Daily, I start coming through side streets. I mean, that's just what I do. Even on the side streets, I'm scared. But Ford Road is just,
Enforcement, that's where it starts, Mom.
yeah.
30 miles per hour, that's what we need.
But overall, guys, I'm gonna just take some questions from the rest of the council members, I think, just to wrap this up, and then we'll go out to the audience. Any other questions from the council members?
So did we determine the number of trucks? I mean,
Well, he's gonna just make some adjustments, and we're gonna bring it to the council meeting for a vote, so.
well, I mean, do we have an idea? I mean, we said 20 and then 12, 14.
20.
What do
I
we?
think 20 is a fair number.
20.
Yeah. I think 15 is too low, guys.
Yeah,
You're talking, we're
We
talking,
don't reach that.
Now, what about, okay.
and I don't think we're gonna see 20. I truly
What
don't
if-
believe it.
Councilman Saab mentioned something about, we have a couple businesses, I know one, but I think there might be a couple more, but that have a business, and I'm gonna say the name, Solid Oak Sausage.
Yes.
And they've got a little food truck that they operate in their parking lot. They operate both inside. Inside's like a sales thing, and outside they do a little cooking and stuff. It's a nice little setup.
Technically, it's a food truck.
So that would be one.
Yes,
Okay, even though it's on their property,
Yes.
and that's okay.
yes, it would be
That'd be
considered one.
Okay.
And they would have to go through the process of making sure that, that's great, you're a brick and mortar, but you can either sell your sandwiches inside or you can sell them on, inside there, outside. Which, by the way, they make an unbelievable, I had it yesterday, new peppered jerky.
Oh,
Wow.
Solid Oak?
Wow. It
Oh,
was
they're the best,
unbelievable.
man. They are the best.
Yeah.
Ali and his wife Nicole, they are
They
number
do a
one.
great job.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other questions? All right, let's move it over to the audience. Seeing none here in person, any on Zoom? Okay, sir, step up.
Good evening, Wissam Fadlallah. I listened to all of you and I appreciate your input on this ordinance that Roger has gone over with the Planning Commission. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission, as you all know. The idea is to promote business in the city. So if it was one food truck or 20 food trucks, we're losing them one by one, as you see. So these businesses, these food truck owners, they're actually, most of them are local residents. So they own these businesses, they live off of them. So we want to try, we don't want to limit what they can do, what they can't do, but we just want to make sure they're doing everything right according to the ordinance. So that's all I have to say about that. And I appreciate that you will take this into consideration. Don't eliminate the food trucks. I like them, I visit them every once in a while, but I agree with Councilman Ahmed that we don't need like 20 or 30 or 40. We just need to limit, and put some rules and regulations just to make sure that everything stays the way they are. We don't want to turn Fort Road into a trailer park or see a ton of those food trucks over there. We want to encourage businesses. Anyways, we want bring business to the city. That's how this city will thrive.
Keep it vivid,
Yeah.
keep it a vivid city, but at the
Yeah.
same time.
Thank you.
Roger, I have another question, and I'm sorry, I know I'm getting a little off topic during public comments. But I was also just in West Dearborn, and I was going to Mint 29, and I pulled into the wrong parking lot, and I saw that there was like a farmer's market, and there was music, and people were out here just having a good vibe and a good time. What can we do to attract farmers markets in our area? Like, maybe we can, I don't know where we would be able to do it, but.
The chamber sets them up and we just have an area. The Dearborn Area Chamber, they have the one over there right by their headquarters in Dearborn.
Council
I was
Chair?
just speaking out loud.
Yeah. I'm working with someone right now, food they call them pop-up food markets, is what they call them, even though they're there every week or something like that. A company, and I've been working with them for the last 6 months, and they were actually at our Family Fun Day this past weekend. They had a table set up, and it's something we've been looking into as far as locations. We've been going around, myself as a resident and them as a business, and a little bit of councilman help. But we are looking into the farmer's market.
That'll be amazing.
I mean, I think it's, you should jump on it as
We
the
are,
councilman,
we're
not as the
work-
resident.
Yeah, well, I mean, both. I'm working on both, I mean, as far as, I've looked at locations, because location is the key thing for a farmer's market. You can't have it tucked away somewhere unless it's super publicized or it's part of another event. Be a standalone farmer's market. I've visited all the farmer's markets around here. And in the last 6 months, Eastern Market, Allen Park has a farmer's market every Tuesday night. And they have.
You go there Tuesday nights?
Yeah, that's why I'm never at a meeting. But they have like they have a representative from Eastern Markets there with a big booth. They have all little small farms there. They have some people have a little pop-up bakery thing where they do some baking, make donuts there, all kinds of different things. We've got all the contact information from all these. We've been working on it, so it is the farmers market is the wheels are turning
I
on
think
it.
Beach Daily would be a perfect location for
Yeah.
farmers market. You know Beach Daily, south of Michigan?
Yeah.
'Cause I think that street needs to be brought to life somehow.
25, 30 years ago, there was a big push to make that the business district of Dearborn Heights.
That
And
needs
it's
to
still
be
known
neat.
as the business district. They redid all the cement, they colored all the cement in throughout the area, they redid a lot. Nancy knows about that. And it would be a good location. We're just trying to find
'Cause there's not a lot of
a
space
property,
out there.
yeah. I mean, you don't need a ton of property. Hopefully someday you will.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do the right marketing for this farmer's market, people are gonna come
Bingo.
from all over, so you're gonna.
Oh, yeah. It's advertising is one of the main things.
All right, guys, we're back at public comments. I love that, Councilman. Keep me updated on
I
that, if
will,
you don't
I
mind.
will.
Drapkowski, Columbia Street. Just what I was gonna say, remember those magazines that I brought you from Westland Garden City that are produced from Don Nicholson? Yeah, instead of this twice a year little rinky-dink magazine that the city produces, those come out weekly or bi-weekly. It's marketing. You start advertising that stuff, well, the people will come. It's not brain surgery. We could use Parkland Park, we could do it on downtown South Beach Daily, or, across from the golf course, wherever. It's just, I brought you those magazines, take a look at them, use them, call the man. Take care.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we have two on Zoom.
George?
Can we unmute Margaret King, the Honorable?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Margaret.
Food trucks, I think, are a great idea. I know I mentioned this before at a couple of different meetings. CJ's a friend of our family, owns a food truck. And it brings people into our city, just like Hassan Ahmad said, it brings people into our city. I think if we were to go with this route or do something, like Vince said and a couple other people have said, if you advertise them, they're gonna come and they're gonna bring their business to our city, which is what we want, so we could grow our city. And then they could possibly open up into brick and mortar, which is half of what they would like to do is to hopefully open up a brick and mortar. Just a couple of thoughts that I had. I know they got mentioned, but
Thank you.
that's all. You're welcome.
Next up, we have Tim Emery. Tifa?
Good evening, all.
Hey, good evening, Tim.
Well, I'm gonna bring this up again. Margaret stole my thunder last week to bring it up. But the SROs, any movement on that? I had a meeting earlier tonight because I just joined, so I don't know if anything was set up.
Tim, so I
About it
can tell
tonight?
you, I've had conversations with Chief Swoop. Is he still here? Tim?
No.
Yep, oh, okay.
I hear you.
I've had a conversation with Chief Swope, and he assured me that come the fall, SROs will be back.
Now, I want to make sure they're that.
I mean, he gave me his word, he said.
Okay? I mean, he's a pretty good man of his word. I've
Yep, I agree.
talked to him many times, so.
Councilman Ahmad heard it as well, so.
And it's very important that we get these back into schools so we don't end up like some other schools. But, it was nice to have them in there. I know Westwood, we pay half of the salary for them, so.
And I will tell you verbatim what Chief Swope said was, what kind of hearted person do you think I would be if I didn't allow the schools and the children to have their SROs back? So when he said it, he emphasized that, that's not something that's part of who he is. And that he assures me that there will be SROs, so.
Okay.
All right.
Could I ask Tim a question?
Tim,
about-
you do have a question from our Honorable Councilwoman Breyer.
Yeah, Tim, how would you feel if we use those two areas on Beach Daily near your house to have a farmer's market, say between Powers and, what's the other one, Courier? And then on your side of Beach Daily, there's another section a whole block long?
Now, the one down by Powers and Courier, I do believe that is owned by,
Manulians,
no,
John,
on the west side.
on the east side.
On the east side, I think Minoan still own that.
Yes, John
But
does.
on the west side, that's that construction company that's on the corner, I do believe they own all that from the street to the creek. But a lot of that property on Beach Daily, north of Annapolis, Tiff owns a lot of that property.
All right. Would Tifa be in favor of having a farm market?
Well, we need to talk to Mr. Roscoe about that and bring it up at a meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm always open to something.
Thank you, Tim.
Can't wait for my organic tomatoes.
Locally grown.
Have a good night, and I like this time better than the last week.
All right, George, can you unmute Mr.
Sorry, Mr. Emery. Any other resident? You see one of the names here, Roger? Roger, point of order. That's the name on there. Even the people are speaking, Roger. All right, seeing none. Everybody else have a great day. Meeting adjourned.